flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll grant permission to Westcat to video and audio this proceeding. Is there anybody else who wishes to record the proceeding? Thank you. Chairman's update. We're going to start with some great news. This evening we want to recognize Mr. Bobby Collins, a 25-year employee of the town of Westwood. You're here with your family. Thank you very much. It says that you have risen up through the ranks, and we can thank you for the clear roads on snowy nights. Some of them. Some of them, okay. Well, mine are always cleared. Mine are always cleared. We often talk about how good the town looks, so we really do appreciate your service. Is there anything you want to share with us? We'd like to congratulate you publicly, but we want to make sure we capture all your achievements.
No, I think, I wasn't really prepared to say anything.
That's okay. You don't have to.
This is your chance, Bob.
Anything you want to say about Mike or Todd?
Order salt now.
Actually, no, we have our salt.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot we want to say other than thank you for your service, and we really do appreciate all you do.
It's been, my whole life has been in public works.
That's great.
Graduated high school.
That's
I've
great.
worked for 4 different towns, obviously this one's the longest, so.
We're hoping you'll stay to the end of your career.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
That's good to hear.
Good to hear it. Anything?
I want to say that anybody who is working for the town for 25 years deserves a lot of respect and appreciation. We take great pride in how this town is run, and you're contributing to that, and we want to thank you.
It's all been said.
That's right.
So we have a plaque for you. Yeah.
All of us?
Yeah, we should all take a picture.
Take a picture. Tradition.
I know, but sometimes it's just a shame.
Every year we put it in a
Okay.
town book.
Every time we do one of these, we try to figure out again who should have it.
It's heavy.
Wow. Well done, Christine.
Thank you, Alan. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
My eyes are closed.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for sharing them with us all these years.
Thank you.
Especially on those snowy nights.
A lot of snow.
Yeah.
We did want to recognize Officer Mary Ellen Smith is also achieving 25 years of service with Westwood this evening. She could not be here. She started in Westwood as a civilian dispatcher and topped the civil service test in 1993 to become a police officer in Westwood. So we wish her many more years of success, and we thank her for her service as well. All right, next item, again on positive notes. We will once again this year be having Westwood Day on Friday, September 22nd and Saturday, September 23rd. We will again have the football game on Friday evening, followed by the fireworks display. On Saturday, we will have again the events at Westwood High School all day, including the 5K road race, the car show, the vendor villages, 2 stages featuring local talent, food court, and much more. Last year was a great success. It was the first year we didn't charge people, so that was a big hit. The crowds were very big. So we are very excited about the day. Westwood Day is only successful with a great deal of volunteers. Volunteers sign up for 2.5-hour increment shifts. And so, do you want me to get his phone number out, or is it on the website?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
So the Recreation Department's phone number is 781-461-0070, and we could use your help, and we look forward to the event. Thank you. First item on scheduled action is the Council on Aging. Thank you all. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Good night.
Lena?
You know.
Have them come forward.
Yeah, you should have them come forward, yeah.
We have 4 openings now. 3 people have turned out, and one of our lovely elderly is not doing well.
Have a seat, have a
so
seat.
She had to resign. You can sit. I'm going to stand.
So I have write-ups for Jesse Turbane.
This is
Jesse?
Jesse. I'll introduce you. and then
Okay.
You can talk about them. This is, so anyway, so we had 4 openings. One person couldn't make it tonight, but we had lots of people who came and were interested in joining our board. I want to thank Christine for herding the cats through summer. Thank you. And for Mike, because he helped me with the interviews, which was really great, so thank you. Anyway, so it came down to the 4 that we would love to introduce you to, and we recommend to the board. So this is Mary Marciello, this is Jesse,
Mary.
and this is Stephanie. All right, and now you can.
And Marge.
Yeah, welcome, thanks. You don't need to say a whole lot.
Oh, and Marjoramo.
Marjoramo,
She is in Plymouth.
she doesn't need any introduction.
Right.
No, we appreciate you stepping up. So, I mean, don't feel as though you have to say a lot, and we trust Lena's judgment, and so if there's anything you want to add or share with us, we're happy to hear.
Well, I've been here for a while. I've been in this town for 51 years, and I came
Qualifies
here.
for a while.
Yeah, my kids went through and all that stuff. And as I get older, my husband, died 8 years ago. Long story short, I joined the group up there to,
Great.
yeah, and we'll talk about. Now right away the word escapes me. It's the time and night. No, it's a
Bereavement group?
bereavement.
Oh,
Thank you,
good.
Mike. And from there, it just seems like I just took off and joined all the clubs up there and try to help out as much as I can. And now I'm at a point where I'd like to see what this is all about.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Anything?
I'm Jessie, and I've lived in town for 39 years. And I'm 63 years old, and 2 years ago, if you told me I was going to be hanging around the Council of Aging, I would have said you were crazy. But I was reading the newsletter and saw one of the trips, went on one of the trips, had a ball, and I was witness to a group of very, very caring people. And over the last 2 years, I've become involved in different programs, gone on the trips. I get called every once in a while if they need someone at the front desk, and I just like what I see. This town has been good to me. I'd like to give back, and
Great,
I
thank
figure
you.
the Council of Aging might be a way to do it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. I recently met Lena. I actually grew up in this town, but I left and went to school in New York, and I recently came back. I currently work at Clark House at Fox Hill Village. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. The main part of the beginning of my career in New York, I worked in pediatrics in a pediatric skilled nursing facility. So now I'm sort of on the other end of the spectrum. So I wanted to sort of bring a different perspective, I think, to the Council on Aging. And I went there to meet with Lena on a barbecue day, and it was great, and it's very vibrant, great, in a good way, a very vibrant place, and I think it's going to be great to be a part of that.
Great, thank you for stepping up. I just wanted to mention a few things about Marge, since she's not here, and we obviously are excited to have her on the board. Marge is a 4th-generation Westwood resident. She has raised both her adult children here in Westwood. She's a nurse, and for over 50 years has worked with children, adults, and the elderly, and she does an awful lot throughout the town of Westwood. And she's my neighbor. So we're very lucky. So thank you all. I don't have anything else to do.
I don't know what you're doing, Lena, but if we had all people like this all on boards, we would be, I mean,
Very blessed.
I
It's really a blessing.
I have to qualify it, though. We have so many great people in town who step forward, like yourselves, to serve on the community organizations. We're very fortunate, and we're really fortunate to have you all step forward and respond to the calling for new board members. It's great, and your qualifications are fabulous. Perfect, right? What a great group.
And
So,
I
thank
think
you.
they'll bring a new dimension to the group that's already there. So
Yeah.
I'm very pleased. Very
Yeah.
blessed.
Congratulations, ladies, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion?
Motion to,
I'll go ahead.
I have it.
I move that the Board of Selectmen appoint the following individuals as members of the Council on Aging Board. Jesse Turbane, right, did I say the last name right? For a term to expire June 30th, 2020. Mary Masiello, for a term to expire June 30th, 2020. Marjorie Aramo, for a term to expire on June 30th, 2020. And Stephanie Romalis, for a term to expire on June 30th, 2018. And you're filling a vacancy that was created, and we look forward to renewing you in June, if that's what you would like.
Thank
So
you.
that's the motion.
Yeah,
I'll
thank you
second.
again. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Thank you, ladies, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lena.
Enjoy the board.
Father George, will you join us?
That year ever go by?
I know, I feel like you were just here, but you're back.
That's a good thing.
It just shows how fast time goes, huh?
Yeah.
So how many years now is
This
this?
will be our third one.
Oh, okay, great.
This will be our third one.
And if I remember correctly, last year you rearranged some of the logistics, you went with a ticket process, or? The first year you segregated people, and then last...
Yeah, it was with the serving of the beer and the wine. It was sort of like a sectioned off place. And if I remember correctly, our discussion last year, we kind of we talked about how kind of impractical it was
Right.
to like separate a dad from his family if he had to drink beer. So we would see how it would go.
Yeah.
Last year, we made sure that the beer didn't leave under, let's call it the tent area, the
Right,
dining
right.
area. You know, we had people, you know, some of the elderly, the elders, let's say, of the parish walking around, and it went
That
well.
worked well?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It did. No incidents. I mean, we don't sell a lot of beer and wine anyways. It's there just as a convenience, but it's mostly, you know, a family thing. And now that we had some kiddie events in the back, you know, back end,
Yeah.
it brought in more children. So it's
Yeah,
just
it gets great reviews. It
yeah,
really does.
I mean, I went to get gas yesterday on my way up to Maine by the 128 area Needham, and she saw obviously my garb, and she said, "Are you a Greek Orthodox priest?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Where?" I was like, "Oh, you know, a church in Westwood." She's like, "Oh, you're at St. Mark." I'm like, yeah. She's like, "You're having the festival," and she lived in Foxborough. Don't ask how she found out, but she can't wait, she says, to come to Westwood this year, you know, for the festival. So word's getting around.
Great.
Yes, and the reviews do.
And
sound
Janice,
good.
you have no issues?
No issues.
And so this, I know it's called a one-day special license, but it actually covers 3 days. Is that right?
Actually, if I could just clarify, it's
Yeah.
a special license because Father George needs a day ahead and a day at the end. So to, you know, prepare and then clean up at the end. So Friday through Monday.
Okay.
It's actually 4 days.
4 days,
2
okay.
days of storage.
I get
I think
it.
that's how it goes on the application. It's coming in on Friday and then getting rid of it on Monday, whatever it's not sold. So
Correct.
it's actually 4 days of handling the beer and the wine.
But only serving on what, Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, the 2 days. Yeah.
And the license is written that way.
Okay, I don't have anything, dude.
No, I think it's, you know, Father George, it's been wonderful to have you in the community with your church. I happen to be a member of First Parish Church. It just, we couldn't have been happier from a church standpoint when you folks wanted to come to Westwood.
Thank you. That
And
means a lot to us. Thank you.
But what you do for the community with this event, to bring people in and share your culture and your faith
We
with people
try.
is wonderful.
Yeah, we try. We try.
Thank you.
So I actually went to the festival last year. No problem with the beer and wine, so I was there.
You were there.
Great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Okay, make a
Okay.
motion?
I move that we grant a special 4-day beer and wine license to St. Mark of the Epiphysis?
Ephesus, yes.
Ephesus, sorry.
okay.
Ephesus for Greek Fest 2017, which will be valid from Friday, September 15th through Monday, September 18th. And this license should be granted contingent upon receipt of all final inspections from building, fire, and health departments.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Look forward to seeing
Thanks.
you there.
Hey,
I look forward to seeing you
thank
there.
Yes.
Thank you.
We do as well. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks,
good to see you.
Thanks.
See you, Father. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Okay, next we have a hearing, a public hearing on Del Frisco's application for an alcohol license. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi.
Welcome. Have a seat. Yeah.
Hi. How are you? I'm Janice. Troy. Nice to meet you.
Oh, okay. Can you just introduce yourselves?
Yes, I'm Eugene Richard, Gene Richard, attorney for the applicant. With me is Troy Smith, who is the proposed manager.
Okay. And Janice, you want to just tell us a little bit about the application and
Sure, of
the
course.
committee's review?
This is a new restaurant, as everybody probably knows, that's going to be, it is currently, the foundation's in the ground at 60 University Ave. And the project is under review by the building department and things that's coming along. Mr. Richards came in to submit the application for this common vics with all alcohol for Del Frisco's Grill. And we initially had thought we would wait a little bit to bring this before the board because of the construction and things. That's, you know, it's a little bit ahead of time, and especially with the new year's right around the corner. But anyway, Jean said that we wanted to go forward, and so here we are. So as Jean mentioned, this is Troy Smith. He's the proposed manager of record. Del Frisco's new restaurant is will have approximately 6,597 square feet of interior footage, and the proposed seats are 263. And there's also going to be an outdoor patio that's about a little over 1,000 square feet with 50 seats. My messy writing there might have looked like 150, and I apologize for that. So 50.
It also says entertainment license.
Yes, the entertainment license would be for a number of televisions in the establishment. It looks like, according to the plan, that there are 6 in the bar, 1 in the private dining room, and 1 on the outside patio, for a total of 8.
And Mr. Smith, do you manage one of these restaurants now?
Well, I'm the regional director for our restaurant group, so I oversee the ones that we currently have in Chestnut Hill, Burlington, as well as some others on the East Coast, Washington, D.C., North Bethesda,
Okay.
Westwood coming up.
And can you just tell us what training you do for employees?
We certify all of our employees through TIPS process in Massachusetts, and in all of our states, actually.
So what is the plan that you would be the manager of a record for now, and then be hiring the on-site manager as you get prepared to open?
Correct. We're in the process right now of actually interviewing, and then we'll select the general manager hopefully within the next 2 to 4 weeks, and then so on. You know, after that, we have a few other people that work for us currently that will probably transfer over to the Westwood location.
Okay. And you're not opening till this time next year, or?
Depending on how the construction goes.
That always comes in right on time.
Yeah, always. No change orders ever. Hopefully within the first week to 2 weeks of February.
Oh, okay. So early 2018. Okay, great.
Wow.
I don't have anything.
No, I just want to say before we go through the motion that this is more the standard speech, that we take our licensing very seriously. And I'm sure, given that you know the operations of your business very well, you do too. So when you're prepared to make that change of manager, it's something we want to make sure everything's on top record-wise. And I believe all the TIP certifications have to be in before the opening.
Yes.
And so you know the drill.
Yes, ma'am.
For us, for a while, we were new to this, about 12 years ago now, I think it is, before we had any ability to have on-site, on-premise alcohol consumption. We've come a long way. University Station has a lot of restaurants. And so I think, we're dealing with another era, but we just want to make sure that you know that we don't want to have any issues.
Certainly.
And compliance is great, and we'll all be happy. And besides that, I want to say welcome to Westwood.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, I wanted to add that. I mean, this is exciting for this end of University Avenue.
It is.
With the Brigham and with Courtyard, and now with you guys.
Yeah.
So it'll be a nice addition.
I would add, and briefly, that I've passed along the rules and regs that are posted on the website, and those seem to be very comprehensive, very helpful for licensees,
Good.
and helpful in terms of complying with whatever the town wants. Seems to be really set forth. The licensing personnel have been very great to work with, and so I anticipate that will go very, very smoothly.
Yeah.
We appreciate you saying that. It's for you, Janice.
Make a motion?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you pay him to say that, Jeff?
Okay, I move that we approve the request for an all alcohol license and entertainment license for Del Frisco's Grill on University Avenue. This will be contingent upon all final building, but, so nothing gets issued until these inspections are done.
Right, until a certificate of occupancy has
Okay.
been issued, and
So
that
it's a-
means that health will.
The approval
then
now
through-
waits until February.
Right.
Okay? So no fees, no charges to them at this point?
No, there's a,
There will be. That was your point about them coming in now?
yes, all the
Okay.
fees are due at the time of application.
But you won't be able to put that little piece of paper up, okay. So contingent upon final building, fire, health department requirements or inspections, and I would add any other paperwork or compliance due to, for tip certifications, anything else?
Quarry check,
Quarry checks,
and then, of course, the ABCC approval.
and ABCC approvals. So all those contingencies, and it's yours.
Is that okay with, does that work for you guys? Any objections, any problems with that?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I just, did you mention the entertainment licenses?
I did.
Yes. Yep.
You did.
Correct. Alcohol and entertainment, yep.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there any comment from the public? Hearing none, I will ask for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Thank you. Welcome.
If
Thank
you
you very
need
much.
anything, let us know. I mean, it's really great to have you in this community.
Yeah, we're excited. It'll be our third location, plus the Double Eagles, and we're actually opening another Double
Yep.
Eagle in
What does Double
Prudential's.
Eagle mean?
It's one of our other concepts, Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse. There's one in the Seaport District now. We're opening one in the Prudential building.
You guys are busy.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't
so-
get spread too thin. Keep the quality there, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. There is a grant of easement request, the Arc of South Norfolk, for a sidewalk. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
This is Dan Burke.
Hi, Dan.
Hello, hi everybody.
You met the board, Dan?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so. Well, we might have a while back, huh? I was thinking about it. I went on a tour there with Roy London.
Wow.
Didn't, Mike, you and
I
I
was,
go
I
on
was
that
probably
tour?
there.
You might have been.
You would have been there.
I would have been there.
I think that was probably,
That would have been when the legendary
13
Jane
years
Smith
ago.
was still,
yes, wonderful Jane.
wonderful Jane. We miss her dearly.
Yep. Well, it's nice to have you here.
Thank you very much. Actually, I brought printed copies too, so I'll pass left and right. Whoop. Tipped over. See, I knew I would struggle.
This was hard to see.
You know what? We have these. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay.
I also have,
Unless you-
I
you
have
need
it
one.
on the screen too.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I do have it on the
So
screen.
leave that.
Yeah.
Terrific.
Screen would be great for the.
I'll need the reading glasses, but I think that's enough.
You need magnifying glasses.
Okay, so help orient me. Your building is on Clapboard Tree.
Our building's on Clapboard Tree Street. We are right on the corner.
Right.
Next to the Beans, between the Beans and Zavarian. We are what was many years ago the practice football field for Zavarian. We've been there since 1992. We first built in 92, opened in 93. You know, I want to thank you very much. The town of Westwood is home for us for a long time, and we've served thousands of people in the area and thousands of people from the county through this and through our services. We started in 1954, and as it says in the bottom right corner, we opened in 1992. After nearly 40 years, it became a place of our own to be there, and it's been great since. So we built. Where the arrow is, this building at the beginning, this is where you drive in. Over here is the entrance to our property.
Okay.
Clapboard Tree Street is right here on the right.
Yeah.
This is our driveway in here. And you drive in, and so we built this part of the building first in 1993, and then this whole extension in 1997, opened in 98. And from the time we started, there was this sewer easement here on the bottom. This property is right on the property line between Westwood and Norwood. On the overside here is the old Polaroid camera, now Mercer. We have there's no driveway access to this side. All our entrance is right here and goes to the back of our property, and we have our large parking lot is in the back. We have some parking here and here, as you can see, and then a much larger parking lot on the next screen when we get to that point. So the reason for coming today is I've been meeting with Abby McCabe and Mr. Gillette, and I want to say your town planner has been a tremendous asset and tremendous help.
That's great.
In figuring a way to work with everybody, because we have a very exciting project going as part of continuing to make our building accessible. We serve, as you know, we serve about 140 people here with disabilities on a daily basis, as well as our offices for both the ARC of South Norfolk and LifeWorks. And a great number of our folks, 41 in fact, are in wheelchairs or use assistance. And so we have started a whole gardening program. We have some gardens back here that we built that are off the screen in honor of Bill Abel, who was our longtime CEO when he retired. And now have built, in conjunction with Mercer next door, a set of community gardens that we're doing with the Mercer company next door, in which their employees and our folks are doing the gardening, planting, picking of all sorts of different fruits and vegetables and produce, and doing it together. But a big part of our project is that we need to be able to get our folks that are in wheelchairs and walkers out there to get access to it. So, and the only place that can make sense to get they're over here is a walkway off our back entrance. So this is phase one. We're talking about just, don't have to pay attention to this walkway going this way. But phase one here is that we're talking about a walkway that would be of asphalt that would come off of, this is one of our back main entrance to our building, and down here and wrap around these are slightly off by the architect. They're actually, the beds are right over here, more on this side towards the easement. And the walkway would go around the beds and then go right to the edge of the Mercer parking lot, because then that way our folks also can utilize Mercer's parking lot and walking areas. They have walking paths, so our folks can utilize them as part of their exercise, and their employees come over to our place. So it's a great relationship. We are very fortunate. Our community partners in that neighborhood have been great. We have a wonderful relationship with Zavarian. With 6 to 8 to 10 young men do their community service every year with us for an entire 8 weeks. And when they do it, they're not just standing there waving hi and being high schoolers. They are hands-on, helping people every day, and most often stay and work for us in the summer and come back when they're in college and things. And Mercer's been a tremendous partner in working with us. So that's been great. And the Bean family, of course, is great. Our great neighbors. We're very fortunate that Eleanor and their family, great neighbors. So we've been very fortunate. So this pathway would be asphalt pathway, but it would need to go over the easement. And Mr. Gillette can talk about a little bit of the why we're here as part of that easement. This easement, if we were to go to the next page, Christine, if that.
You just click.
Oh, that's me. Thank you. There we go. As you'll see, here's the overview of the property. This easement, which was here when we started, comes across the back and then shoots right through the water retention pond and right underneath our parking lot. So when we built our extension in 1997, we basically were given a certificate of occupancy and a building permit to put the parking lot over the top of the easement. This off in the back goes into wetlands. This is all conservation area, all in the back. This is the Bean property here, and this is all wetlands and conservation. So, in accordance with the rules, we need to work with the town to be able to, if I go back to, now I gotta go back. If I go back to the drawing.
Scroll up.
Scroll up, there we go. To go over this, to go over this easement, that put this pathway over it, so that we can have full access to the gardens and that stuff. And of course, we've known from the beginning that if the town ever needs access to that sewer easement, we've always known that we would do whatever was necessary.
Yeah.
Do whatever's necessary to access it anywhere along the way, so.
And I think I read that the sewer commission,
They did.
Did they vote officially?
They voted to officially support this passing over the easement. It's similar to the parking area.
Right.
If they have to dig it up, they have to dig it up.
Right.
And if we need access, the likelihood of access.
It's minimal, yeah.
It's been, I mean, it's been there since we started in 1992 and have never needed it. I don't want to jinx it, you're right. You are absolutely right, Mr. Walsh. I should not say that publicly, because I'll.
And Mike, do we require a bond during when they construct? I mean, I'm just curious.
Never have.
We've never have? Okay.
We actually still have, because of the conservation land, some money on deposit with the town. I think
Okay.
that was all part of the conservation restriction.
Yeah.
So that money is still sitting on deposit with the town from the conservation
I
restriction.
mean, from the town standpoint, the assumption of the risk is all that.
Oh, yeah.
So there's not a downside, right? Right.
No.
What this does for the community is fabulous.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's, we consider ourselves, we hope, an essential part of our community, and try to make it a community center, and our building is always open for participation, and open to so many of the citizens in town, and young people, and families.
You want to know what kind of vehicle you're going to use to do this. And there are two. One, you can simply give them permission to do it with the understanding that if the sewer needs to be repaired in any way, then it has to be torn up. And they might want an easement granted by
Town meeting?
you folks who were authorized by town meeting. But if they wanted to get started now, you could simply vote them permission to go ahead
At their risk.
at their risk.
Yeah, and then, I mean, ultimately, what I would say is just copy whatever mechanism we did in 1992.
Actually,
It was kind of reversed.
it was,
Oh, it was reversed.
Oh. Reversed, because we didn't own the land, we just owned the sewer easement on their land, and they wanted to pave their parking lot, so we just said, we don't have a problem, just understand.
Okay.
If you have a break in that section of line, you're gonna have to rip it up. So it's a different thing, because we own this land, we would have to get the easement, so it's a
Yeah,
split.
I'm fine.
the land was granted to us from Polaroid.
Oh, I got
They
it.
they
Okay.
donated the land, the easement was already there, and the land was granted to us from Polaroid.
The only thing I will add is that we have an adjacent parcel of land. It's basically conservation land. Yeah, it's over here, if you look at this.
Some of it's buildable, right?
When Mr. McCollum bought the land and donated the development rights to the land trust and the land to us, he, at our request, sectioned off, I think it's roughly a 10-acre portion of that land that's just adjacent to Snark. So we could build playing fields, and you'll see that there's a section of the land on this plan, or the plan, it's the same one
Yeah.
as the report, in the front near the parking lot that's available for having a field. We had discussions with Snark at the time, and would like to just repeat those, because, you know, as time goes on, memories get a little thin, that if we were ever to build these fields, we would appreciate the opportunity to utilize Snark's parking facility on the off hours when they're not open, so people using the fields, which is usually in the evenings, would have parking. It would be near impossible to provide parking and adequate space to do any playing field, so.
But
it's
we're not
important.
tying these two things.
No,
We're not-
I hear you, yeah.
But after.
That is,
when we have these
that goes without saying, we always will. I mean, we do the same for Zavarian, when they have Friday night games or Saturday games, people park in our parking lot, and that's of course, and of course for this we would. I mean, we'd be thrilled, because our guys could use the field during the day if nobody else was using it. So, but, you know, our primary, most of our parking is empty by 4:30, so it works out perfect. There's no need for the town to utilize good land for parking when our lot is right there for many cars, you know. and so-
Do we have a motion?
Okay. All sounds really good.
Thank you very much.
I just want to start by saying that. I move that we authorize Snark to proceed at its risk to install a sidewalk across the noted town property in conformance with plans approved by the planning board and the sewer commission, correct?
Right.
And that the board agrees to sponsor an article at our next town meeting, which is likely to be in November. Our next town meeting to grant an easement to Snark for said sidewalk.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you for
We really
coming in.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We may need you along the way for the town meeting
Yeah, I'll be
process.
there at the town meeting, and if you ever want to tour or want to come by, we'd love to have you. I'd love to have you.
I think it's, I just have to say one more time, it's really great what you do for the people that are served by this facility. I remember, to this day, I remember going through. It is, it's challenging to see what some people, their life condition, and that you give them a quality of life and care is just really amazing.
Thank you. And we're lucky to have 2 residences in town, and
Yeah.
have been great, and the neighbors here in town are terrific, as is one of our favorite neighbors is Town Hall, since we're across the street.
There you
Oh,
go.
great.
That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
great, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
See, that means, shows we're doing our job.
That's right.
We don't want you to know where it
You're
is.
doing it right.
We want it to look like everybody else's house.
They built a wonderful facility up by University Station as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
really love it.
Whitewood Road.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, that's right.
We're right on Whitewood Road, and it's a home for, and 5 young people who came out of Mass Hospital School or other needs, and including 2 young men spent their whole lives in Westwood. And
Oh, isn't
they're-
that nice?
the O'Hara boys, and it was their mom's dream that they have their own home in Westwood, and they do.
Oh,
So,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Hey, Pam. Welcome. We'll talk about anything but snow and ice removal.
Now that's a jinx.
Sure is.
They have it.
Oh, boy.
So I'm just here tonight, we'd like to come in at this time of year and just give you a quick recap of our FY17 results. We just closed out the year that ended June 30th. And then just a quick status update on where do we stand on a couple of our key financial items. And then just show you what our next steps are and what's the timeline for a couple of things that occur in the fall that are important financial things. So just to start out, FY17 on the revenue side, we continue to have good results. Our FY17 budget revenue was $89.7 million, and the pie chart shows how that's comprised. And as we talk about lots of times, primarily our revenue source comes from our taxes. 78% is from our real estate taxes. We collected 98% of that real estate money on time by June 30th. That's very consistent results for year to year. That is consistent with, the type of community we are, with a, owner-occupied, single-family residential homes. That is the rates we should see. But really, our residents do a terrific job in paying their tax bills and paying them timely. So, with one exception years ago at the beginning of the Westwood Station project, not the University Station, we had that one blip in our tax collection, and other than that, we've never experienced a problem year after year. And where it's 80% of our revenue, that always puts us on a good financial status. Just want to point out the 2 numbers on the bottom of that's the bullets there. Our tax deferral program, as of June 30th, has about $457,000 outstanding, and that's cumulative all the years that we've been running that program. And then our tax title, $653,000. Again, we're billing about $70 million a year in taxes, and for every year that we have, those are the amounts that are outstanding and in a sense past due. The tax deferral is a terrific program for some of our senior residents to participate in. That number rolls as some people move out of town and pay off the bill and new people come on. And then again, the tax title, to have that number outstanding for all our years is really incredible. And again, people kind of, might run into a little difficulty, and we'll enter the tax title process, and then we'll clear that and move on. So really terrific results for our taxes. Just looking quickly at state aid, we took in $5.8 million in state aid. That's been very steady the last couple of years. We're not really seeing any kind of significant increases year to year in state aid, but what we are budgeted for has been steady and reliable. Just want to point out one item. For FY18, we used an estimate at town meeting of $5.94 million. That was in the governor's budget. The final state budget had a minor increase of about $23,000 more than that, as shown in the green. That's not really enough that we would make any kind of adjustment. Some years we might have had a bigger adjustment at the end of the state process, and we would take action at town meeting, but, we don't need to do that for that amount. I would just caution that I think we'll have to, as we've done the last couple of years in the budget process, just budget very conservatively for state aid going forward, as the state is having some difficulties with their budget. And then on our last revenue, just the local receipts. That's been very strong, as it's been the last couple of years. $5.3 million in that overall category. The largest component of that is the motor vehicle excise. And we've talked a lot how that's been very strong the last several years. FY17, $3.3 million collections. That's up from just over $3 million in the prior year. Just a reminder that we did increase our budget in the FY18 budget process because this has been coming in so strong. The other item that's in the local receipts category is our building permit activity. I've indicated those amounts on the bottom, about $782,000 in building permit receipts. That's non-university station
Pretty
receipts.
steady.
And that is really, the activity that you see going on in town with the building and the renovations. So we've been strong in this category. Collections over budget flow to free cash because we're increasing our original budget for the motor vehicle going in FY18. We'll start to see a little bit of decline in the free cash in future years out, but expected.
Pam, to the left of that, before the recession, what were we up at for a high water mark for motor vehicle tax? Do you remember? Before we get to FY09?
We probably were at 3 million. I mean, we had a dramatic
Remember it dropped,
increase
yeah.
in 09 and 10 when people just stopped buying cars.
So we're gonna have to pay attention. I understand why we're here and why we raised our projections, but like, the economy goes in cycles and we have to be responsive before.
Right. So collections on this year of 3.3 million. Our budget was, I think, 2.2 million. So we're increasing that budget to about 2.6. We're still being very conservative. We're not trying to chase this
gotta be
and
careful.
plan and spend at this higher revenue because we've seen that can turn. So very steady, conservative with this category. So all of our revenue, terrific for FY17. And just looking on the expense side, the biggest piece of our budget on the expense side, the operating budget, $80 million for FY17. So that's our set budget. We can't go over that budget. For various reasons, we often don't use that full budget allocation, and the money kind of closes out, or we call it a turnback. It will close back to free cash, and we can use it for the next year. Our overall turnback for FY17, 1.1 million, which I always say sounds like a lot of money, but it's about 1.3% on the budget, so, kind of very minor. In comparisons, the year before was 1.6 million and about 955,000 in FY15. The table in the middle shows by category where that turnback is coming from. And the largest item of the turnback is coming from our benefits and fixed cost category. And that's simply because we kind of have to budget that way to have some flexibility during the year. If people get on the health insurance during the year, or depending what our payroll taxes are, that type of thing. So very steady results on the expense side. I have to mention snow and ice. I know it's on a summer night. But just quickly, we spent in FY17 about $620,000 in snow and ice. The bar graph on the right shows the last several years of spending, very up and down, uneven consistency with how we spend year to year. But we do average about $450,000 a year. So in FY17, we spent $620,000. Our budget was $250,000. We did supplement by $300,000 at the annual town meeting. Leaves us a small amount, $70,000, that we will raise on our tax recap when we do the FY18 tax recap. But here I just want a reminder about going forward. We did talk a lot about that the average really we should have in our budget is $450,000 a year. Even though we have some money in reserves to try to help out and address this, it really would be better to budget at that average level. So we're going to try to continue to increase that budget until we reach that amount. We were able to do a little bit in FY18, and now that budget's up to $300,000. And we just have a listing there of what the budget had been in prior years. So at one point, we jumped up to the $250,000. Now we've gone to $300,000. And again, our target over the next year or two would be to get up to that $450,000. I just want to point out one final item, that the state in that Municipal Modernization Act, where they kind of made a lot of different changes to various things to try to help streamline procedures for municipalities. They did make a change to the snow and ice process, where we can kind of overspend that base budget during the year. They made a change to allow that overspending to occur with the town administrator's approval versus having to go to the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Commission. And I think some of that is just to get that action more timely. Sometimes when we come into you, it's, the storm's already occurred and
We want to pay the bills quickly
Yes.
because we need those people to
Yes.
keep coming and servicing the town.
So as of kind of, last November, that was a change that they've made. So we could do that in this upcoming year. DPW would bring the same information to Mike that they previously would bring to you. Where do they stand? What have they spent?
Do we need to take action to agree on that, or can we take action that, or, no, let me phrase this again. How can we do it so we're informed? Not that we're a step in the approval process, but that we're informed when it occurs. Because I think it's going to be easier for us than, let's say, the Finance Commission. We should have a reporting mechanism.
So I would like to, upon your approval of the new process, like send something out now so that everyone's clear ahead of time that that's what would be happening. And then when Mike makes the authorization during the winter, if it occurs, we might have a mild winter and not spend over our money, but
We got one due, it's been
Yep,
4
we
years.
would notify at that time, as well as, we do our monthly budget to actual report, and we would be including it on there. Because the other pieces still remain in place, where we need to cover anything that we overspend on the budget. So, we'd still be doing an Article 1 transfer at town meeting, that type of thing. So we want people to know, the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Commission, where we kind of stand during the year. It's just that initial kind of authorization to the DPW to do what they need to do. The state has tried to streamline that process a bit.
Mike, it's never been denied, right?
It's never been
denied either by the FinCom or the Board of
No.
Selectmen.
No,
And
it's
so I
just
think in
fine.
the next meeting, my feeling is we'll reporting mechanism, there'll be something very clear so the
Yeah,
board knows.
and then
Yeah.
let them, Finance Commission know the same.
Yeah.
Terrific. Thank you. And then just a real quick recap on where we are with several items. The FY18, the budget year we're in now, that operating budget, 87.7 million, and the bar graph shows by category how we spend that. And the little chart at the bottom shows what the percent increases were for the school municipal budget. And the selectmen have done a terrific job in providing steady, consistent funding for our school municipal budgets. This is the most important area of our budget. It provides our daily services to the community, our teachers, our police and fire. And really, the last several years have been very consistent budgets. We have utilized some of the new tax revenue from University Station to make sure that we can get solid budgets in place. But I think the selectmen have done a terrific job in getting solid budgets in place, but also making sure we have budgets that are sustainable, that don't kind of outpace our growth, and that do allow us to handle other areas in the budget that we need to also. So great budgets in place for FY18. And then the next slide is capital. We have made terrific progress the last several years, increasing the amount we're spending on our ongoing capital. So in FY18, the bar graph in green, 1.7 million, is almost doubled what we spent in FY14 of 823,000. So this is our funding each year for school municipal needs, maintain our buildings, make sure we have good equipment for those departments. We're not at the level yet that we'd like to be for capital, so we'll continue in our budget in the upcoming year to try to continue to address this, but terrific improvement, and again, some really great capital budgets for our departments. The capital fund, we've been trying to use as a tool to help us with some of those capital items. The graph shows how much we have in this fund at certain points. This is our fund where we hope to save for and then spend for large capital projects that we can plan and save towards. We built that up with some one-time revenue. In FY17, we used a piece to replace the high school track and our artificial field. We did have some additional one-time money at the May town meeting, a bond premium, kind of a one-time revenue of $390,000. Town meeting voted that into the account, so there is now $1.47 million in that account. This chart, just a reminder where we are with our debt. The town did a terrific job the last several years in issuing debt during a very favorable time. We had an excellent credit rating, the interest rates were very low, and we had some old debt retiring. So we've had 3 kind of major bond sales over the last 3 years, totaling about 30 million. But on the bar graph on the right, you can see what we'll have outstanding at the end of this year is $44 million. So we've taken on a lot of debt, but we still have a very low debt level overall because for a lot of the debt we took on, we were able to replace debt dropping off. At this point, our next debt drop off is 2023. So as we talk about items in the budget, if we issue any new debt between now and that drop off, we would have to provide for that with additional funds in the budget. There won't be anything to
Have you
replace.
ever analyzed what our blended interest rate is? Our blended borrowing rate on the debt we have outstanding? Have you ever done that? I mean, I know it's low. I mean, it's obvious with the way we've borrowed more recently, and the high school debt is barely diminished from its original level. I'm just curious.
Yeah, we do have a chart that has what the interest rates are, is that?
Yeah, but what the blend is, once you put those all together, like our debt overall is at a blended rate of 2.8% or something.
It's definitely less than 3%.
You refinanced some of the old debt.
We refinanced the high school bonds, which
did
saved,
that.
over
Saved us a
$2
lot of
million
money.
in interest. That was the one
I
large
just think
bond.
it's pretty impressive.
I do too.
When you make the point that we're doing this in a time when borrowing rates are so favorable, that's a good time to invest in our infrastructure. And having that number might be an added emphasis on that point.
Yes, extremely low rates, and we're talking for 20, or with some of our recent projects, a 30-year. We're talking a 2% interest rate for a 30-year term. So I think even, every homeowner in town would recognize that's just, incredible.
I suspect, though, we're not going to make it to 2023 before floating a bond for the schools.
They have a lot of planning to do.
Yeah, but we'll see. But that's coming. You know that.
Yep, that's coming, so it's a few years off, but at least for, a good portion of what was recently done, it did
Yeah.
replace other debt coming off, so we're not starting from kind of a super high point.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, here we are in FY18, so before you know it, we're talking about FY19 budgeting.
Mhm.
The schools still don't have a proposal, and they're waiting to hear from the school building authority, and then they've got to process what is it they actually want to do, and then design it. That's a
I think that is the general timing they're looking at. Yeah, so in 2023, we will complete paying for the high school, which will be, a major accomplishment, and to have that drop off the books is tremendous.
Yeah, the time goes.
So we will go from one high school to another school.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's a great way to
It's
handle
going to be
it.
a lot of work to get people to agree to that, but the timing is not that far out.
But it's coming. Either way, we know it's going to be a big expense.
And we do, you can see by the graph a little bit, we pay off in principal, $4 to $5 million a year. So to get a couple of years under our belt of pay down really is tremendous and helps. But the debt in terrific shape. And then just, OPEB, we've just really been able to do a lot with that over the last couple of years. 2 major change in the healthcare plans, and the selectmen dedicated the savings from those changes to the OPEB liability. We've essentially been able to address the OPEB liability without impacting other areas of our budget. So we now have budgeted about $1.4 million a year, as shown in the green there, towards the OPEB liability, just about where we need to be. To date, as of July 1st, we have $6.4 million in our OPEB trust account. And you can see it was just a few years ago in FY11 when we had $20,000 in that account. So really on the revenue and expense side, the selectmen also took action to trim some of the benefits that were being provided, and the combination of those two has really put us in terrific shape here. We are currently undergoing our update to the liability, so we'll have that for you in a January timeframe to look at, where do we stand now, and how does that annual payment fit now into what our requirement is.
We won't have to cut the benefits anymore. GIC is doing it all by themselves.
It's always a battle to kind of provide quality, care and insurance,
Wait
but
till people
yeah.
see how much it's already changed. It's dramatic. Deductibles went up for everybody.
And in our stabilization fund, our main savings account, we have 2.9 million and right on target with where we need to be. Again, the town was able to, with some one-time revenue, kind of build that to where we needed to be without impacting other areas of the budget. And now we just do that $100,000 transfer each year at town meeting from free cash, and that's worked terrific to kind of keep us at target, and we don't need to do anything more than that to kind of be where we need to be with this. And then our final item is just the meals tax, just to kind of give the update on that. We did receive our most recent quarterly distribution from the state at the end of June. That was $83,000. This graph shows you the quarterly distribution coming in, and you can see that it seems like we've settled out at about $80,000 a quarter, at least with what's there now.
So the Frisco's help
Frisco's
us.
will certainly help that number, yes.
263 people. PM, why have we thought about having this fund, the capital fund?
In different discussions of when the meals tax was adopted and what we could do, that was absolutely one of the things that came up. We just clearly don't want to use this meals tax towards the operating budget and
Right.
ongoing. Putting this money or a portion of this money would be a great revenue source for the capital fund. We right now don't have an ongoing revenue source for that capital fund. We're just doing, if we had any kind of one-time payment, we put it there. To really have that working, we need an ongoing source.
And what's the hesitation with making this that source?
Well, it's been talked about for different things. One of them is the capital fund, the other one was for the.
A small portion for that aid to the elderly supplement.
So it's been, yeah, that's through long-range planning and talking about it. We just were waiting for stabilization of this and sort of getting comfortable with the idea of where it might go. So those two have been both
Yes.
discussed, and I think you'll take that up with the long-range planning.
And there's one more revenue source that'll start when it opens up, when the hotel opens up, there's a portion of.
We have the increase in the hotel tax.
Four to
Hotel
six.
So
Yes.
we got a full 6
Yes, so this was just adopted in 2015. And so now after kind of some steady activity to date, there's $690,000 in that account. And it looks like, you know, it's settling out at about $80,000 a quarter going forward. So now certainly is the time that we could start to address this. And what would we do
There
with this
wasn't any
funding?
imperative need to take action. I really think it was a matter of, let's sort of think about these ideas.
Yeah.
See if anything else comes up, but the two still rise to the top, I would say.
It looked
Reserve
pretty
for
steady.
appropriations,
I mean,
so.
if you look at it, I mean, from June of last year to June of this year, not really much difference, 5,000, you know what I mean? So I think what you're gonna see is that the summer settles down, or leading up to the summer, you get the spike for the summer up to Christmas, and then it dies down again. Probably as consistent as most restaurants would tell you.
Yep.
You know, how the business flows, and not really gonna be much of a difference back and forth unless we add new restaurants, so.
Didn't something come up where this now has to be allocated to an account of some
Yes, so
kind?
when we set this up, because it was different and new, we set it up in a restricted account that town meeting has to take action to use. So, you know, all fine and appropriate, but Department of Revenue would just like us to change that account and basically put it in a special purpose account like our capital fund. So that would just take a town meeting vote to set up that fund, move this money into that fund. And then going forward, it would do exactly what it does now. That money comes in, it's restricted in that account, and it takes town meeting action to use it.
But if we want to take some of this accumulated funds, instead of moving it all into this newly created account, that would make be a logical time to move it to whatever
Yes.
the town decides and allocating this, what we've built up,
Yes.
what we've accumulated. And then we can continue to have it flow into this new special.
Yes. So town meeting could vote to use a portion of whatever we have here. And then town meeting would just need to vote to set up the, you know, meals tax fund. And then just take a vote to say, and as the meals tax comes in, it goes into that fund. Which is the vote that they took in 2015. DOR just wants it in a little bit different account than we have.
I don't wanna get ahead of the schedule, the agenda.
I don't know, is it fall town meeting?
Well, I
Or annual?
I think we were talking about annual.
didn't have it on the list yet, but, you know, we could do it at fall town meeting.
One thing we were thinking of wasn't, well, what we needed from the Aid to the Elderly Committee that Mike is on is an understanding of how much is needed from the town to support the citizens' needs who would be the recipients. And I think you had said it's not necessary to fund it in the fall because the payment decisions are made February, March?
Yeah, the applications don't
there's a
even come in.
timing
Pam
thing.
can tell you better than I, but the applications don't come in until October, November, so we're not doing anything.
We kind of pulled forward the application period a little earlier so that we would have a better handle.
Okay.
um,
Well,
on what
you
that
know,
was.
whatever seems to make sense, but I think we were still waiting to hear what does
Yes.
what does the fund need, and we wanted to make sure it did not, let's just say, be the only source. We want to keep the private donations as the primary source of funds as they have been in the past.
Yes.
Where people want to support that account.
And some of the discussion we've had at the recent meetings, people have had some terrific ideas on how to make sure, you know,
Matching
we can
type
do
things.
that.
Exactly,
Yep.
matching.
You know, having our
I
corporate
think that's a
partners
great idea that has come out of the
continue.
group.
Yeah. So we not really come up with that number yet.
Yeah.
Because we really want to make sure that it's the appropriate amount.
Yeah,
when
we have
go
to have
ask
the right
community.
mechanics in place. That's great.
Okay.
And then finally, just to give you a sense of a couple of pieces that'll be coming over the next couple of months. So the final pieces of our year-end close, we have a lot of reporting that we do with the Department of Revenue, Department of Education, that's going on now. Our audit will come in, the audit firm, at the end of September. And then part of that is we'll have our free cash certification. So that happens when the town accountant kind of sends in information to Department of Revenue, and that should be in October timeframe, end of September, early October timeframe. And then for our current year, fiscal 18, there's still a few more pieces that happen. The property values for FY 18 get finalized in that October, November timeframe. And part of that is the final new growth. So in particular, what's the final new growth coming from University Station for FY 18? And then when that's done, then when the Board of Selectmen looks at the tax rate and you hold your classification hearing and look at the shift with the commercial and the residential and set that tax rate. And when you do that, we take a look at that actual tax bill and talk in terms of what happened to that bill and were we able to achieve some mitigation on the tax growth and compare that to what we talked about with the residents at town meeting. So that'll happen in the October, November timeframe. And then finally, as we start our next budget cycle, as we always do, later on in the fall, we do kind of first, and with our different groups, we update all of our debt schedules and make sure people know where that is. We update our financial policy status document to kind of show where we stand against target. And then we do that 5-year forecast to kind of give everyone involved an outlook of what's coming over the next couple of years.
And Pam, the only thing I would add at the bottom is we are going to start the budget steering in September, which I think will be good for all of us.
It'll be terrific for everyone. Yes, with some new people on board, it'll be great to start early.
In
and kind of
lockstep
go through
early
that.
on. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
You want to talk about the draft fall town meeting articles very quickly? So I'll just run through them. Mike, if there's anything we need to add, let me know.
Yep.
So it looks like right now there's proposed 10 articles. The athletic court resurfacing through capital at the Sheehan. The adoption of the Mass General laws related to voting. What is that one? What's to do with?
That one, I had to have Dottie send me the information today. It's something related to the Municipal Modernization Act and them opening on Saturdays during like a registration, and that she doesn't have to do that if she accommodates in other ways, which she does. So she very quickly said this is a Saturday voting registration thing. She's going to look into it. So
it's a placeholder.
It's a placeholder. It's a maybe. She needs to research it a little bit more.
Okay, the third one, amendments to zoning in flexible mixed-use overlay districts to establish a cap on the number of residential units. So I'm assuming next meeting or the one after Nora will kind of give us an idea what she's thinking. Okay. Blue Hills Regional School District renovation project. That was the presentation we had earlier.
It
Right,
was,
okay.
from Blue Hills.
Gay Street sidewalk design funding. Arc of South Norfolk that we had earlier, the grant of easement Thompson Avenue Street acceptance request.
It's a development.
Okay. Hedgerow Lane cul-de-sac abandonment, was that the one?
That's the one we had, yeah.
That was supposed to come on tonight. There's been some modifications. We think that there
If
might
you
be
want to
something.
keep talking, I
next
need to recuse myself.
time. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll move on. The zoning map amendment, possible rezoning at 529 High Street. And the waiving, the 10th one is the waiving of dog license fees for seniors.
Mike, I just wanted to mention on Article number 4, the Blue Hills, the memo, I think that was in the packet, refers to September 12th as the date of the school committee meeting for Blue Hills. And that the way the timing trigger was, they're to notify communities within 7 days. Sounds like they plan to notify us within a couple. The 60-day clock then starts, and they want all communities to respond by November 13th.
Actually,
The 60-day clock starts on the night they vote to authorize.
Well,
That's
it would
not
have
the
been
way the
on
language in the letter reads.
Oh, I know it, but I called and spoke with the superintendent, and they moved
That's a problem.
They moved that date to September 19th.
Okay, so
now
they've
it's
gotten
not
rid
a
of the
problem.
problem.
Yeah.
So are we past November 13th in terms of the drop dead date? Because I was just thinking, what if town meeting
No, I
had
think
to get rescheduled for some reason, or postponed, or
Well-
there was a second night?
the 60 days runs out on November 17th.
Perfect, that's all we need. Thank you.
Mike, what about the courts, the tennis courts at the high school?
But it's just a placeholder. The tennis court at the high school
The lights.
and Downey.
Downey, yeah.
We were hoping to do those in August. That's not going to be possible. It has to go out to bid and everything.
Okay.
And so we're trying to get it done in October. If we don't get it done in October, we'll
Actually
have to
doing
move
the
it.
lighting in October.
Not the lighting, the
Resurfacing.
resurfacing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because they can't.
Because we have the money, so that
Yeah,
doesn't need town meeting.
November would be, there's something about the weather,
Okay, okay.
The cold
But it
nights.
doesn't need town meeting.
It doesn't need town
Oh, it
meeting.
doesn't, okay.
No, that's all that. These athletic fields, these athletic court resurfacing would be the Sheehan and/or discussion. Probably not for Islington, but the Sheehan.
Okay.
We could possibly take up. I'm not sure that's going to.
All right, no, as long as we didn't lose sight of the tennis courts at the high
The
school.
only thing that strikes me, Mike, is almost all of these are asking for cash.
Yeah.
From the
I
voters.
know, that's one of the
That's,
reasons
you
why,
know,
one of the reasons why I think the Sheehan shouldn't go on the fall town meeting.
Every
The other
single
one, Gay Street Design, if we want to put a submission in next year for sidewalks into the complete streets, we really should do that. We've had a meeting with the neighborhood, we're gonna have another meeting with the neighborhood. So there's some mixed reviews on that, but I think there's some somewhat supportive. And what was the other one? There was one other one.
But actually, that's not true, though. Actually, the majority don't involve a request for money. The adoption of the general law around the voting,
Yeah, but that's only a placeholder, but okay.
okay. The restriction on the number of residential units, there's no cost there.
Okay, then you have Blue Hills.
Right, Gay Street sidewalk is a cost. The easement is not a cost. The Westview Estate's is not a cost. Hedgerow's not a cost.
Yeah.
The zoning amendment's not a cost. And we're waiving dog license fees for seniors. I actually don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, it's not. I thought there was something else. Yeah, it was the courts that was the other one, so. And I don't think we should go forward with that in the spring, in the fall. I think we should wait till all the capital requests and weigh it.
Yeah. That should go through long-range planning, come
That's
back
right.
to us.
It should be weighed
Part-
with everything
Be
else.
part of our municipal facilities task force.
You want to include the court issues in that committee?
Well,
They work, but they all go for the same capital fund, so we should give some consideration to how we're appropriating.
let's
our
just say the context of what that committee's looking at could help inform it. It might be better that the long-range planning stick with it. But what do we have forecasted going out several years? That's going to be important information to have.
So maybe at the long-range financial planning, Mike, we should have Nicole come and talk about what the master plan is.
Yes. We've had her before.
Yeah. She came in 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Year and a half ago.
Usually at the long-range planning, they have a presentation of any capital requests that are outside the normal. Usually, they're capital requests that involve the school department and municipal government, we always have those, and then anything else that's outside the normal.
Tom, just a quick question for you. On the 140, section 139, we're waiving the fee. Is there an age, how they determine, it says seniors.
It's a brand new law.
Yeah.
There is an age determinant. I don't have it with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can look it up. I was just wondering if you would know. 'Cause-
I think it's over 65, but I'm not absolutely sure.
All right, so we'll keep that on the agenda again for next meeting. We'll tighten them up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
this
we
is
have
to
to-
give you a heads up, this is what we're planning to go
Yeah.
forward with.
Because the next meeting, we have to
you
decide.
better make a decision as to
Okay.
whether or not you're gonna go forward
With town meeting.
with town meeting, right? It's a decision
I
not
would
to
say right now
go
it looks
forward.
like we're going forward with it.
If you wanna weigh, if you wanna weigh in on the
Blue Hills.
Blue
You have
Hills,
to.
you have to.
Yeah,
go
I
forward
agree.
with the
And what about the,
full
what about the RFP though, on the Obed Baker House? I thought that was,
That, we're working on that, yeah.
Is that a
So
possibility?
we hope that we have a proposal to make it down.
so can we put that on
Yeah,
here
we
for
can
now?
put that on.
Okay.
Receipt of funds.
Huh?
That's a receipt of funds,
Mm-hmm.
potentially.
That's an
There's
addition
a
by
plus.
deletion.
Okay. All right, are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
So this is the review of the town administrator. Ms. Hyde, I'm gonna have you tee up the process and why this is done in open session, and then offer some commentary.
So as part of the changes that we made to the town charter just a few years ago, our process for reviewing our town administrator is now done in open session, or the final stage of it is done in open session. And what we have under the guidance of our Human Resource Director, Joan Courtney Murray, is a system where, and I think this year actually expanded on what we did last year. Not only do we hear from Mike to us, his assessment of the year, we also had the benefit of hearing from many of your department heads about their interactions with you, and some very nice write-ups, very informative. And then the three of us had the opportunity to provide our thoughts. So I just want to start by saying it's a pretty comprehensive process, and it culminates with a discussion tonight. I know, Mike, you and I met just a few days ago. I want to highlight some of the things that we've included in the consensus review, and then I would like to, if with the chair's permission, ask Mike if you want to respond in any way to these. Let me start by saying it's a very positive review of the past year. We are the beneficiaries of a town administrator who's been with the town for 29 years. And with that, we have a tremendous amount of institutional knowledge with Mike, an understanding of issues as they arise and what needs to be done to resolve them, an ability to identify opportunities. And I know I highlighted with Mike, one of those was re-looking at the authority given to the fire chief, given the changes in the charter, to make sure the fire chief had the appropriate authority and that it also fit within the context of the town's management structure. And Mike identified that, and with the work of the task force, Board of Selectmen, the town meeting process, we were able to successfully pursue the change that was recommended. There are a lot of communication channels. I think you must feel like the hub of things coming at you all day long, internal, external, state, tenants in the town, businesses, and it all goes through your office. So communication is one of the top aspects of your job, and keeping it all balancing is something that you've done an excellent job at. You have a great rapport with people in town. You interface with so many, and that can be challenging at times, rewarding at other times, and you just have developed a great rapport with people. Hiring good personnel is what it's all about, and I think it goes almost without saying that we have some amazing people that work in this town, for the town. And your advocacy for Westwood reflects itself in things like support of the Habitat for Humanity House in Westwood, how to turn an empty residential lot into an opportunity to provide a family with housing. And I think that that's all excellent. The next area of the review is areas for improvement, and I don't think improvement's the right term. I think it's just areas that will require focus in the next year. I recommended, and I know, Mike, you're giving this consideration, with so much going on, what else can be done to keep the Board of Selectmen up to date? We have regular meetings, we have materials in our packets, and I think there's times when there's even additional information, not that we are in the day-to-day operations, but just so we are informed of important things in real time. When there are inquiries, interfacing with us to know really what the question is before a lot of time is spent trying to come up with answers, I think is a good idea and something that we talked about. So that's just part of the communication category. And lastly, under areas for things this year, different times new ideas will come up and may be different than the way things were done in the past, but it's very important that as town administrator, you're open to those, and some will lead to improvements in how we do things in town, and some might be just, let's keep status quo. But those are suggested areas for the year. Progress against FY17 goals, as we know, and the public has heard at some of our meetings, we have a very comprehensive list of goals. They are categorized by department. Your oversight to departments getting their work done is extremely important for the town being in the wonderful condition it's in. And I think between you and department heads, really fabulous year with a great deal of accomplishment. And while the review doesn't reflect it, you have the executive function group that meets regularly. I think it's great as a management structure to have departments know what's going on in other areas and maybe lend ideas, support, find where there's overlap or intersection of departments. And how long have you been doing that now?
Oh, 5 years.
Yeah, so it's really well established. And that's I think, one of the contributing factors to so much getting done. So excellent year. We look to goals for FY18. Again, we have an extensive list. We get periodic updates, so that's a great monitoring tool, and it's shown in the past that it really helps get things done. 2 town meetings is a lot that's going to be there to accomplish this year, and hopefully it doesn't distract from some of the day-to-day work and the goals that have been set forth. And we do have many union contracts that are outstanding and hopefully can get resolved in reasonable time frame this year. And we've got important messages. I think I've already highlighted that. Tremendous work that you do for the town, Mike. Always important to reach out to us for input, and I think our interactions have been very positive. And keep up the energy, and I guess that would be what I would have to say for the review. And I hope we can invite Mike to comment. Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I mean, the only thing I would add, Mike, is performance reviews are always really interesting processes. Yours is even most interesting because it's statutorily required. So it's just kind of new for me. I just, so a lot goes on, and so it's always difficult to capture and synthesize what it is you're trying to say. But I just, wanted you to know, I had put the comment about the Habitat for Humanity house because I was really trying to think of an example of leadership this year, and I thought it was a great example, and that you personally thought it was the right thing to do, and you really pushed it and advocated for it. So that really stuck in my brain, and I just wanted you to know that.
So, Mike, one thing that's not in that is, most people don't know this, but every year when we go to the MMA thing, I always go to the town administrators. I think it's called 3 minutes with town administrators. And I can tell you that even there, you're well respected among your peers. I've never had anyone have anything bad to say about you, and in 30 years, that's pretty good, I guess. So, just to let you know, that's not in there, but I do find that out every year when I sit down with another town administrator who knows you, who has either retired or planning to retire. Mm-hmm. So they've been around with you a long time, and they have nothing but great things to say about you. So,
well, I just say that I appreciate all of the kind words about my performance this past year. It has been now 30 years in December. I really care about this town. I I gave a passing thought in the past about switching to another community, looked at other opportunities, and decided that I really like the fit here. It's a great town to work for. I've had great boards of selectmen. I continue to have great boards of selectmen, and that makes it easy. I can't tell you how much it means to have the support of you to be able to then go forward with the department heads and make sure that they're operating in the way we want them to be operating. And then we got great staff. This isn't possible if we don't have the department heads and the staff beyond them to really put out for the community and care about the community. So this is it's not a love fest, but it certainly is. It's a real grouping of people working in the same direction for the benefit of our citizens. And I think we do a tremendous job, and I just want to see it continue. I feel good about it.
The town's fortunate.
Yeah, I think we are.
So do we have to take any formal action, or is that?
No, I don't
That's it.
think we have to
No.
vote on anything, but I think we should follow up with signing this document
Yes.
as opposed to my version, so we can do that
Yeah.
separately.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because it's a nice segue into the next piece, which Christine, Mike and Christine and I had talked about really trying to map out our year. I know for me, it would be really helpful if we understood what processes take place at certain times of the year, and I'm hoping in the next iteration of this, we can start to put the meeting dates, which we need to do. And the other piece, Joan did a really nice job of mapping out the review process, Mike. And so this was my second year dealing with it, and I did feel like we were all trying to play catch up, and some of that's the board's responsibility to make sure we're doing things on time. So I think if we can add those things, and Christine, I'll work with you kind of offline to do that. This might be a nice roadmap and make
Yeah.
things a little bit easier for all of us.
And I think Pam, I noticed that Pam in this presentation has a timeline
Right.
of things that she's looking at. We should be incorporating all those in.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah. And we should at least take a shot.
Yeah, I know.
No, but that's
No,
okay.
Keep growing.
I was actually
all
thinking
right.
That's
about
okay.
this a lot, and maybe it's something. It's a layered
Something.
Yeah.
something that's not just
I think
one
there's a-
big thing.
I think
'cause
there's a layer
so
with
many-
the-
yeah,
with-
The town meeting process might have,
Right.
Yeah, its own
yeah.
block
So
or
this might
something.
look totally different when you're done.
it will evolve.
But at our
And
next,
that's fine.
yeah. and-
Remember how the appointment process?
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
know, I
say, she's
know.
got it 2 months down there, I'm like, and here we are in August, and
know.
we're still reappointing. You're gonna have to extend that one
It's
just a
supposed
little
to
bit.
be the
Well,
short time
you know,
period.
between now and the next
No,
meeting,
I'm
we'll
talking about how you've really,
The appointment process is
Really
yeah.
streamlined it, yeah.
It took years to figure that one out.
And we'll
so.
propose dates, because, you know,
That's
as we learned last year, between the holidays,
Yeah,
it's
that's
hard.
why I sort of printed this out really quick, the Massachusetts legal holidays, but
you also need to include somehow the religious holidays that
Yeah.
do impact our
Yeah.
schedules that we need to be
I was gonna grab
respectful
the
of.
school calendar,
Oh, good idea.
because they have all the religious holidays on there, even ones that aren't observed, so
Right,
I can grab that one and put those into
that'd be great.
something comprehensive like this too, so we'll.
Do we have dates now for our next, do we only have one date available right now?
For the next Board of Selectmen meetings, so you have I have September 11th, September
Okay.
25th, and October 16th.
Okay.
So I was actually gonna bring at the September 11th for you to look at.
Yeah, we'll look at the rest of the
future
year.
dates,
Okay.
the rest of the year, maybe
Perfect.
even through January, if we can get that far.
And I'll work with you and Joan to put the personnel actions.
Excellent.
Thank you for that. That's a great start. The Westwood Media Center transfer of funds, Mike, do we have to take action?
Yes, you have a requirement. There's a handout that was given to you that added the Verizon funds, because it just came in today, right? So.
Okay. So we went through this quite a bit last month. I don't have any issues.
I'm just.
I'll always vote to accept the
Can
money.
you tell us, it's not accepting, we're transferring.
That's right, yeah. It
But
gives it
it's-
away.
we don't get to keep it. What's the addition here of what Verizon has?
Verizon,
10,000
It's
more.
just explaining.
$10,412.91.
Yeah.
So that closes out actually the old contract, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the new contract funds will probably a
Start.
couple weeks and then start, so once we
Okay,
get
so
that
all I have to
report-
do
yeah.
is a straight up approve, recommendation for the 3 categories of
Correct.
funds.
Yep.
Just want me to do that? You ready?
Yes.
I move the Board of Selectmen approve the transfer of $20,746.43 and $3,319.49 from Comcast and $10,412.91 from Verizon to the Westwood Media Center per the Comcast license agreements and the ending Verizon license agreement and Westwood Media Center agreement signed by the Board of Selectmen.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I oppose, none. Our favorite topic, appointments and reappointments.
So hopefully this actually closes out the process.
Okay.
I'll do one final sweep before your next September meeting and make sure we didn't miss anyone, but I'm sure I'll hear if we did. So very quickly, Municipal Studies, Facilities Task Force, just Todd Sullivan and Bruce Montgomery just need official appointment. They were both suggested after the board's meeting of establishing the committee. Dottie Powers is requesting Patricia Wade be appointed as an election officer. Dottie has a huge group of volunteers that do a great job. So they're, as she continues through voting and local election and national elections, she uses those people. We can talk about the planning board recommendations.
Yeah, why don't we, do we need a vote on Municipal Facilities Task
Yeah.
Force then? Okay, so why don't we start with that?
I move that we approve Todd Sullivan and Bruce Montgomery for appointment to the Municipal Facilities Task Force for terms expiring on June 30th, 2018.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Okay, election officers, want to make a motion?
I move that we approve Patricia Wade to be appointed election officer for a term to expire June 30th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the planning board, this is interesting. So these folks are already on the planning board, but this is the kind of external meetings they represent the planning board or the town at?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
And that requires a vote of the Board of Selectmen?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
it's our
you appoint all the people.
Okay.
But they're basically saying how they decided among their membership to cover these. And it's usually planning board members that do cover them.
The
Okay.
thing for Steve Olenoff, it's the third year of a three-year appointment. We didn't make a three-year appointment, so explain that further.
MAPC has, like we do, set terms for the various positions that we appoint people to. They basically assume that when a person is getting appointed by a community,
Okay.
it's for a three-year term.
But it doesn't obligate us.
It doesn't obligate you, so you could change that. My recommendation this year is, it's his last year, for one last year, finish his three-year term. We did talk in terms of trying to get Jack on. That didn't work out because Jack was away, unfortunately. Otherwise, everything was set, so that's probably something we should do next year, early on.
Is it possible to have two alternates?
It is. You could,
Can
yeah,
we appoint Nora
alternates. You certainly could.
as another alternate?
Mhm.
Does she ever have the bandwidth to go?
She has gone in the past. So,
Does
That's a good
MAPC
idea.
recognize the alternates?
if the member isn't showing up, the alternate would be recognized.
Is allowed
as
to
a
be
vote.
there?
Is allowed to be there, and
That's fine.
they don't really vote, but they do have votes, but it's not a big deal.
What happens when people go who are not either members or alternates? Because I think
Nothing.
some
I've
people
been-
do, they just go.
I've been, yeah, you just go. In fact, they invite you, they want member communities, send anybody. Some of these have interesting speakers or discussions on various things, and they'll even recognize you from the floor if you're there and you wanna speak up.
That's interesting. I've never been to one, so I've heard about them.
So did you want to include Nora as the alternate?
Yeah,
Yes.
why don't you
Well, I was
nominate?
thinking of adding.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
mean,
say,
do you
why
wanna
don't you
add-
nominate Olenoff and then the two alternates?
We want to do them one by one here?
I would do them one by one.
Yeah, we can just do them all, just by
Two?
adding for that one.
Okay.
Okay, let me go through the motion then. Motion to approve for the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, Steve Olenoff as the representative, and the alternates of David Atkins and Nora Lockname. For Housing Partnership, Mike McCusker as the Representative Alternate Brian Gorman. MBTA Advisory Board, Steve Olenoff as the representative, alternate Dave Atkins. Regional Transportation Advisory Council, Trevor Lobenstein as the representative, alternate Brian Gorman. And the Three Rivers Interlocal Council, Mike McCusker as the representative, alternate Steve Olenoff.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All expire June 30th, 2018.
Yeah.
All right, I'll
Sorry.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Okay, the Islington Center Task Force. So we discussed at the last few meetings the need to have the Islington Center Task Force remain as an active board. The town administrator, the community economic development director are recommending the task force, have determined the task force still has objectives and it needs to accomplish certain items, including advise the planning board as the project moves on to next steps of design and eventually to town meeting. Review and discuss the remaining portion of the Washington Street Business District, areas both north and south of the proposed project. Review and advise on traffic impacts of the Washington Street Clapboard Tree Street intersection. Discuss and review potential projects for the Foster property. Continue to monitor the East Street Bridge renovation project and its impact on the center. There are individuals representing certain interests that may not be necessary now that the task force has completed its review of the responses to the RFP. These interested include the Historical Commission, Youth and Family Service Commission, and the Library Trustee Representative.
So, okay, the next page has the
Yeah,
list.
we've got
Oh,
this.
okay. So there's a list, I'll read them. So this is the proposed recommendation from the town. Al Wizialko, and
Mrs. Closey?
Mrs. Closey, George Hertz, Mr. Patterson, Michael Walsh, Patricia Tuck, Mrs. Shanshiri, Mr. Shanshiri, Trevor Lobenstein, Abigail McCabe, Michael Gillette, Michael Reardon, Nora Loughnane, Pamela Dukeman, Paul Sicard. And removed from the task force is Mary Beth Persons, Nancy Donahue, Danielle Sutton, Todd Corchin, Nicole Banks, Patricia Perry, and Helen Gordon has moved on from the task force.
I move approval of the names listed for reappointment,
I'll second.
for a term ending June 30th, 2018.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none.
That makes good sense to scale it back, some of the numbers.
Makes it more manageable.
I make it easy to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Did Trevor agree
To,
to stay on, given he's
I
chair?
think all of them did when we initially went through. You can double check with them.
yeah.
He's appointed now.
He pointed out. He's going.
So we need to review the meeting minutes of May 16th. This was the first of our two-part meeting.
I'm working on 30 weeks.
Is this an encyclopedia?
It is.
You know, the only comment I had, I read it, I think it's okay. I would just do a spell check on Zaka. There's two different ways.
Oh, yeah.
His name appears
VAH.
K-A, whatever way it is, just make it
Yeah.
one way.
I tried to correct it every time I saw it, but I might.
yeah.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Do a spell
Oh,
check.
yeah. I'll grab it.
If you use word perfect, you just hit find and replace.
That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Just out of curiosity, is it necessary when there are meetings that are this comprehensive with public input to put it in the minutes when you have video backup?
That was gonna be my question, because that's, so, with the this one and the May 31st one are the hardest meeting minutes that I've really ever had to do because of so many different
Right,
questions
right.
and so many different, this person responded, this is the response. And
It almost seems like it's too much, because certainly the minutes don't reflect all our discussion all the
Right.
time. You get the salient points.
Right. And then because we have them online and because we have the meeting minute software, that the PowerPoint presentations are publicly available.
Yeah.
All the information is right, all in the same place. People don't have to go searching back and forth for a lot of stuff.
I almost would like you to think about, when it's a discussion of a topic item, to capture the topic item. You know, there was a discussion of the following items and, you know, something like that, and
These are the people that spoke. I can put a list of
yeah,
the, you know.
it could be.
We always do, name and address for the record.
Is there a way
I don't
to
know.
inquire with
Yeah, like,
state as to what
like
they need?
on page 6, right? She says, love you, Christine, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I get 5 paragraphs about different questions I asked.
Right.
Could have just said, Michael Walsh inquired about the following.
Right.
A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
in one sentence and be done. You know
I
what I
think
mean?
you can do that.
Yeah.
That's why
I'd be
this is taking
comfortable
me
with that.
so
Would-
long, because it was so hard to go back and forth.
Well, I think what you'd have to note is that this is a summary of the issues that were brought up at the meeting, and for a detailed understanding
Yeah.
of
That's the way it
it,
applies to
go
everything.
to the.
I know.
I mean, that's what minutes are for, is just to give people an idea of what was
Our
talked about,
official
not
minutes
every word.
for the Board of Selectmen are these written official minutes. Although the video is extremely convenient,
Right.
it's technically not considered the public record for the town. So these are considered the public record. That's sort of why I put a lot of detail into these and make them.
Well, why do you think if there's a
However-
way you can start collapsing it down in a way that doesn't lose
Yeah.
the topical items covered and the responses, but it's just, it's a,
I think a lot of executive assistants and administrative assistants we question each other all the time. How do you do your minutes? How do you do, you know,
And sometimes
every town is different.
it'll
and
almost take you longer to think about how to
it does take-
synthesize that.
It
yeah.
does, and.
Just a thought, yeah, yeah.
I don't think there's no right or wrong. Minutes can be,
well,
the
there
board
are
discussed.
definitely wrongs.
Well, it's,
when
the
minutes.
board discussed Islington Center Task
All right.
Force.
You do a phenomenal job.
We hear you, thank you. For now, let's have a
Tom,
motion.
do you think that the Attorney General's office should actually be putting out like a
Guidance?
guidance, you know?
On minutes?
Yeah, on how to conduct proper minutes.
Very
You know what I mean?
I
short.
think there is plenty.
You think so?
It's very short.
Yeah.
There's certain
It's
things they
just a
have to put
summary.
in.
Yeah.
You don't have to
Okay.
detail things.
Well, for the purpose of tonight,
Thank you.
I move we approve the minutes from,
May 16th.
thank you, I was looking at the end and that wasn't the date I wanted, from May 16th, 2017.
Consisting of 9 pages. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, anything from the press or public? Now's your time.
Actually, if I may.
Sure, can you just identify yourself?
Yeah, for many reasons, but I think it's very appropriate that you were discussing the contract negotiation with the town administrator, because one of the reasons why I came here is to shake his hand and thank you, Mike, for emailing me about the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Oh, she really did.
And you kept me notified because I did not see that article.
Yeah.
I want to thank you.
Well,
And
thank
congratulations.
Nora because she sent it to me.
Well,
so funny.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork
But
is right.
is it 30 years already?
It is. Well, December 1st.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
And I know you're gonna kick me out because
That's
we
okay.
have another negotiation coming on.
We have
So everybody
executive
have a good night, but I want to
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
Have a
Come
good
every,
night.
come every month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good to see you.
Good night.
Okay, at this
Yep.
time, the Board of Selectmen will be going into executive session to discuss one issue related to potential litigation with the Girl Scouts, of which would have a detrimental effect on the position of the Board of Selectmen if discussion were an open session. The board will not be returning to open session.
I move we go into executive session for the aforementioned reason.
Second?
Mr. Walsh?
Aye.
Mrs. Hyde?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you. The next meeting is on, Christine?
September 11th.
The next Board of Selectmen meeting is on September 11th.